Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Mm,
Today, we're talking about medical negligence in the Philippines.
okay.
And we're going to be looking at some landmark Supreme Court rulings
Mm-hmm.
that have really kind of shaped the legal landscape
Right.
when it comes to these really complex cases.
Yeah.
So have you ever, wondered, what happens when things go wrong in the hospital
Yeah.
and who's held accountable?
Absolutely.
So we're going to be diving into that
Okay.
and really getting to understand your rights as a patient
Mm-hmm.
and the legal precedents that protect you.
Great.
So, and to kind of give us a framework,
Yeah.
we're going to be looking at these 10 cases through the lens of those 4 key elements of medical negligence:
Okay.
duty breach,
Right.
injury, and proximate causation,
Yeah.
which were established in the case of Flores v. Pineda.
That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
So yeah, Flores v. Pineda is a great case to start with because it lays that groundwork for understanding how medical negligence is evaluated in the eyes of the law.
Okay, so let's jump right into our first case.
All right.
This is Rosette v. Davao Doctors Hospital.
Okay.
This was decided in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was reading this case, and I was just like,
Yeah.
this is wild.
I know, right?
So imagine this, right? You're in a motorcycle accident.
Right.
You need jaw surgery, and then you end up in more pain and difficulty
Oh,
because
right.
the doctor used the wrong screws.
Oh, wow.
So, how?
Yeah, that's a pretty startling example of how even routine procedures could go wrong.
You would think
Yeah.
jaw surgery is pretty standard, right?
You would hope so.
So in this case, Nilo Rosette, he had to go through a second surgery
Oh my
to
God.
correct this.
Wow.
And so the Supreme Court sided with Rosette.
Good.
They found the doctor negligent, not only for using the wrong screws,
Right.
but also for failing to properly inform him about alternative treatment options.
Yes, and that's so important.
Huge.
It's not just enough for a doctor to be able to perform a procedure. They have a duty to communicate clearly with the patient.
Informed consent is critical.
Yes, informed consent is critical.
It makes me wonder, should I be asking more questions
Right.
before agreeing to any medical procedure?
Exactly.
I feel like I just signed.
Yeah, that's a great point, and you're really hitting on a key theme here.
Yeah.
The importance of patient empowerment.
Yeah.
These rulings show that patients have a right
Open
to be
that.
actively involved in their healthcare decisions.
Okay.
It's a partnership, not a dictatorship.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to case number 2.
All right.
This is Flores v. Pineda.
Okay.
This one was decided in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And this case is a tragic reminder that even seemingly routine procedures can be life-threatening
Yeah.
if a doctor doesn't consider a patient's pre-existing conditions.
Absolutely.
So in this case, Teresita Pineda died following a DNC operation
Oh, wow.
due to complications from her diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And the Supreme Court found the hospital and the doctors negligent because they allegedly did not adequately manage her diabetes before the surgery.
Oh, so it was the pre-op care that was negligent.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so this really drives home the proximate causation
Right.
element of medical negligence.
Yeah.
Even if the DNC was performed correctly,
Mm-hmm.
it's that alleged negligence in the preoperative care that led to this devastating outcome.
Right. So this really highlights the principle of proximate causation.
Yeah.
It's not just about the procedure itself,
Mm-hmm.
but the actions
Yeah.
that led to,
All of it.
yeah, all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So case number 3,
Right.
this is Garcia Rueda v. Pascasio,
Okay.
decided in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And this case gives us a glimpse into the legal process
Okay.
behind medical negligence claims.
All right.
So this involves a widow who accused doctors of negligence in her husband's death
Okay.
and all the legal hurdles that she had to go through.
Wow.
So while it's not directly about medical negligence itself,
Yeah.
it emphasizes those 4 elements needed to prove a claim.
Right.
And it's a reminder that these cases can be very complex
Yeah.
and often involve navigating a web of legal procedures.
Absolutely.
So it makes you wonder, what kind of support is available for patients
Mm-hmm.
who believe that they've been wrong?
Yeah.
Is it easy to find lawyers who specialize in this area?
Right. And how do you even begin to
Well,
fight for your rights?
Especially when you're dealing with the trauma
Yeah.
of a medical mishap.
That's an important question, and it's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Access to legal resources and support can be really crucial for patients seeking justice.
Okay, so let's move on to case number 4.
Okay.
This is Cruz v. Agus.
All right.
This one was from 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and this one is a reminder that proving negligence isn't always straightforward.
Oh, okay.
So in this case, one doctor actually filed a complaint against another doctor,
Oh, wow.
alleging negligence. But ultimately, the court ruled there wasn't enough evidence
Okay.
to support that claim.
Right.
So it highlights how the legal system relies on hard evidence,
Yeah.
not just accusations or opinions.
So even when there's disagreement,
Yeah.
within the medical community, the court needs solid proof
Yeah.
to determine negligence.
You can't just say, like, this doctor messed up.
Exactly.
Right.
You need the proof.
So, yeah.
This reinforces the idea that medical negligence cases need to be evaluated
Yeah.
based on established standards of care,
Okay.
concrete evidence, not hearsay or subjective opinions.
Okay, let's move on to case number 5.
Okay.
This is Lucas v. Tuano.
You're right.
This one was decided in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And this one really made me think about the role of those expert witnesses,
Yeah.
that we always hear about.
Yes.
So this case emphasizes just how crucial expert testimony from other medical professionals can be
Right.
in establishing that standard of care and proving causation.
Right.
It's not enough for a patient to just say they were harmed.
Yeah.
They need those qualified experts to back up their claim
Right.
and explain the complexities of the medical situation to the court.
It makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to explain a complicated medical procedure to a judge or a jury
Yeah.
who don't have a medical background.
Yeah.
Right? They need help understanding the situation.
It's like a whole other language.
Right, exactly. Expert witnesses act as translators.
Yes.
Bridging that gap between the complex medical concepts and the legal arguments.
Okay, so they're like the interpreters.
Exactly.
Right.
They help the court understand
Yeah.
whether or not the defendant healthcare provider met the expected professional standards.
It makes me wonder, though, who decides if someone's qualified
Yeah, that's a great question.
to be an expert witness.
It is.
What are the criteria?
Typically, they're judged based on their education, their experience,
Oh.
and their specialization
Oh, okay.
in the relevant medical field.
Okay, so case number 6. This one kind of shifts the focus from doctors
Okay.
to nurses and hospitals.
Right.
Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital v. Spouses Capenzana.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
Okay.
This one was decided in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this case, a newborn baby suffered brain damage during childbirth.
Oh, no.
And what's interesting is that the Supreme Court held the hospital liable,
Really?
not the doctor,
Wow.
because of negligence on the part of the nurses.
That's significant.
Yeah.
So hospitals are responsible for making sure all of their staff provide competent care.
Not just the doctors.
Not just doctors, yeah.
Yeah. This case expanded the scope of accountability
Yeah.
when it comes to medical negligence.
It's a good reminder that hospitals have a duty
Yeah.
to implement systems and procedures
Yeah.
that ensure patient safety
Wow.
across the board.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Well,
so we're halfway through our cases.
okay.
What's striking you so far as a key takeaway?
I think what's fascinating is that these cases highlight the evolving nature of healthcare
Yeah.
and the legal interpretation surrounding it.
Mm-hmm.
As medical knowledge and technology advance, the standards of care also evolve.
Yeah.
And these cases reflect that.
Like what might have been considered acceptable 20 years ago
Right.
might be negligent today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these rulings are constantly shaping the landscape of healthcare,
Mm.
pushing for higher standards and greater patient protection.
So these rulings are kind of helping to move things forward.
Absolutely.
Okay. So on to case number 7.
Right.
This one demonstrates that the Supreme Court doesn't always side with the patient.
Okay. Interesting.
Sereno v. Court of Appeals.
Right.
This one was decided in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, they actually overturned lower court rulings.
Oh, wow.
So this case involved doctors treating a stabbing victim.
Okay.
And the lower courts had found them negligent.
Hmm.
However, the Supreme Court disagreed, concluding that the evidence didn't support the claim.
Interesting.
So this just shows, these cases are complex.
Yeah.
And the court takes a very evidence-based approach.
It makes you wonder how often lower court decisions are overturned
Yeah.
in these types of cases.
Is it common? Is it rare?
It's definitely not the norm,
Okay.
but it highlights the multiple levels of scrutiny
Yeah.
these cases undergo.
Like they really go through
Yeah.
it. And the importance of having a solid legal strategy
Yes, absolutely.
from the outset.
Yeah.
Okay. So case number 8.
Right.
This one deals with those deadlines and time limits
Okay.
that we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Deschizes v. Ulam.
Okay.
This one's from 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And this case emphasizes that there's a window of opportunity to file a medical negligence claim.
So you can't wait years and years to file.
No.
Got it.
You have to act promptly
Okay.
if you believe you've been a victim of medical negligence.
Right. So it's not just about gathering evidence and finding expert witnesses.
Yeah.
You also have to be aware of these legal deadlines.
Time is ticking?
Yeah, time is of the essence.
It's okay.
And seeking legal advice early on can make all the difference.
Okay. Case number 9.
All right.
We're back to expert witnesses.
Oh, okay.
Kyle Lassembe spouses Remoulette.
Okay.
This one was from 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, the patient claimed a doctor was negligent,
Okay.
but they didn't present any expert witnesses to support their claim.
Oh, wow.
The doctor, however, did present expert testimony to support their actions.
Okay.
And ultimately that won over the court.
Wow.
So expert witnesses can make or break a case,
Yeah, they can.
right? You need more than just your personal account of what happened.
Right.
You need those credible experts.
To validate your claims.
Yeah.
From a medical standpoint.
Even if you feel strongly that something went wrong, you need that expert backing.
Yes, you need that backing.
To really make your case.
It makes you wonder how accessible those experts are. Yeah.
Especially for patients who may not have a lot of resources.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, and on to our last case.
All right.
For this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
This one introduces us to the legal principle of res ipsa loquitur.
Oh, yes.
Are you ready to unpack De Los Santos Medical Center?
Let's do it.
Okay, this one was decided in 1999, and it explains that res ipsa loquitur principle, which essentially means...
The thing speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in some cases, the nature of the injury is so obvious and unlikely to have occurred without negligence
Right.
that expert testimony isn't strictly required.
Wow. So you don't need an expert
10 times.
to come in and say that something went wrong.
Yeah. Can you give an example?
Yeah, like imagine a situation where surgical instruments are left inside a patient
Okay.
after surgery.
That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that a mistake was made.
Yeah.
And negligence is a likely explanation.
Yeah.
So in cases like this, common sense and the blatant nature of the error
Yeah.
can be powerful evidence.
But I bet that this principle isn't applied lightly.
You're right, it's used consciously.
Okay.
There are specific criteria that need to be met, but when it applies, it can be a game changer
Yeah.
for patients who might struggle to prove negligence
Okay.
through more traditional means.
So we've just scratched the surface here
Yeah.
with these 10 cases.
Definitely.
That's standing out to you.
What's fascinating to me is how these rulings clarify
Yeah.
the boundaries of medical negligence, right? They're protecting patients,
Yeah.
but they're also acknowledging the inherent complexities of healthcare.
Yeah.
They help us understand
Yeah.
the legal framework
Yeah.
within which these cases are evaluated.
So the Supreme Court plays a crucial role in this.
Oh, absolutely.
Like shaping healthcare, protecting patients.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've seen how these decisions emphasize informed consent,
Right.
the importance of expert witnesses.
Yes. And the evolving nature of medical standards.
It's a reminder that the law is constantly adapting to the changing landscape of healthcare.
Which is pretty amazing.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive.
All right.
We're going to be delving into the broader themes and implications of these legal precedents.
Okay.
We'll explore how these rulings influence the doctor-patient relationship and the healthcare system as a whole.
Looking forward to it.
It's going to be an eye-opening discussion.
Absolutely. Welcome back to our deep dive into medical negligence in the Philippines.
So we've explored 10 fascinating Supreme Court cases.
Yes, we have.
Now it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
What are some of the recurring themes, the core principles that emerge from these rulings?
Well, one that really stands out is the emphasis on patient empowerment,
Okay.
especially when it comes to informed consent.
Okay.
Remember that first case we discussed?
Rosit v. Davao Doctors.
Yes, Rosit v. Davao Doctors Hospital,
Yeah.
where the doctor failed to inform the patient about all the treatment options.
Yeah, the one with the jaw surgery and the wrong screws.
That's the one.
That case really stuck with me.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
It really made me realize how important it is to ask questions.
Yes.
And not just blindly sign consent forms.
Exactly. And that's a recurring theme in many of these cases.
Okay.
The Supreme Court is emphasizing that patients have a right to understand the risks, the benefits, and the alternatives to any procedure before they give their consent.
Okay.
It's about shared decision-making between the doctor and the patient.
It's like It's your body. It's your health.
Exactly.
You have a right to be an active participant
Yes.
in those decisions.
These rulings are saying that doctors have a duty to explain things clearly and make sure the patient truly understands what they're agreeing to.
Okay.
It's a shift from a more paternalistic model of healthcare.
Where the doctor tells you what to do to a more collaborative approach.
Yeah.
Where the patient is empowered to make informed choices.
And that's a good thing.
I think so.
Yeah, it puts more responsibility on the patient, too.
That's true.
Which can be a good thing. It encourages us to be more proactive about our health.
Right.
And to advocate for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Okay, so another theme that keeps coming up is the importance of expert witnesses.
Yes, definitely.
You know, like Lucas v. Tuano.
Yes.
And Kayal-Assam v. Spouses Ramelet.
Those are great examples.
Those cases really showed how crucial it is to have qualified medical professionals provide their opinions on whether or not that defendant doctor met the accepted standard of care.
It's not always easy to determine.
And I was thinking about how complex medical procedures can be.
Right.
I mean, I can barely understand the medical terms, let alone explain what might have gone wrong.
Exactly.
So having those experts
to translate all that medical jargon into legal terms is essential.
They act as translators,
bridging
the gap between the medical world and the legal world.
But it also makes me wonder about the accessibility of those experts.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about how challenging it can be for patients to navigate the legal system, especially if they don't have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
So finding and hiring expert witnesses must add another layer of complexity.
It does.
And cost.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Not everyone has equal access to those resources.
Right.
And it raises questions about fairness and equity within the legal system.
So informed consent expert witnesses. What other big ideas emerge from these cases?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that these rulings reflect the evolving nature of healthcare as medical knowledge and technology advance. The standards of care also evolve.
So what might have been considered acceptable practice 20 years ago might not be considered acceptable today?
Exactly.
It's like that's saying what got you here won't get you there.
I like that.
Healthcare is constantly changing.
It is.
And the law is trying to keep up.
The law is always playing catch-up.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court is grappling with new technologies, new procedures, and new ethical dilemmas. And these medical negligence cases are shaping how the law adapts to these advancements.
So in a way, these cases are pushing healthcare forward.
I think so.
They're holding doctors and hospitals accountable.
Yeah.
But they're also encouraging innovation and improvement.
They're setting a higher bar for the entire industry, which ultimately benefits everyone.
It's like with every ruling, the legal system is refining its understanding of what constitutes competent care in the 21st century.
Absolutely.
This is fascinating stuff.
It is.
I'm really starting to see how these legal precedents influence not just individual cases, but the whole system.
It's like a ripple effect.
It is a ripple effect.
And that's exactly what we'll be exploring in part 3 of our deep dive. We're going to tackle that big question. What are the broader implications of these rulings for the doctor-patient relationship and the healthcare system as a whole?
I'm ready. Let's dive into those big questions. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into medical negligence in the Philippines.
We've explored those 10 landmark cases. We unpacked those key legal principles. And we really kind of got into those major themes.
And now it's time for the big question.
How
are these legal precedents impacting the healthcare system and the doctor-patient relationship as a whole?
It's interesting to consider. On the one hand, these rulings have undeniably raised awareness of patient rights. People are more informed about what constitutes medical negligence and their options if they believe they've been harmed.
It's like these cases are giving patients a voice.
Yes.
They're saying, hey, you have rights.
Exactly.
And if something goes wrong, you have recourse.
That awareness has a ripple effect. Healthcare providers are more cautious, more diligent, knowing that they're being held to a higher standard.
So, like, are we seeing more emphasis on informed consent, documentation, quality assurance?
Exactly. Hospitals are implementing stricter protocols, investing in staff training, taking steps to really minimize risks. It's all about creating that culture of accountability and really prioritizing patient safety.
That sounds like a win for everyone. But are there any downsides?
Well, there are some concerns.
Okay.
One is the rise of what's called defensive medicine.
Defensive medicine.
Yes.
What's that?
So that's when doctors order unnecessary tests or procedures to protect themselves from lawsuits.
Okay.
Even if it's not in the best interest of the patient.
So instead of focusing on, like, solely what's best for the patient,
right,
they might be more worried about covering their bases.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Even if it means putting the patient through unnecessary procedures.
Exactly.
Or exposing them to risks.
And this can drive up healthcare costs
Yeah.
and create undue anxiety for patients.
Right, because then you're getting all these tests.
Right.
You don't even know if you need them.
It's a delicate balance.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
So on one hand, you want to hold those healthcare providers accountable, but you don't want to create an environment where they're just constantly afraid of getting sued.
Exactly. How do we find that sweet spot?
How do we find that balance?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is a big question.
It's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
It involves lawmakers, healthcare professionals, and, of course, patients.
So it's not just about legal rulings.
Yeah.
It's about creating a system that fosters open communication.
Yes.
Trust, a shared commitment to patient safety.
It's a team effort.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot today.
We have.
What's your main takeaway?
What's fascinating to me is that these medical negligence cases, while often tragic, are shaping a more accountable and transparent healthcare system.
Okay.
They're pushing us towards a future where patient rights are respected and healthcare providers are held to the highest standards.
I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
It's empowering to know that these legal precedents are there to protect us.
Absolutely.
And drive positive change
Yes.
in the healthcare system.
Knowledge is power.
It is.
Be informed, ask questions, be an active participant in your healthcare journey.
And if you're ever, like, concerned or have questions, don't hesitate to seek legal advice.
Yeah, there are resources out there
to
help you navigate the complexities of the system.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into medical negligence in the Philippines.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has been.
Yeah.
And for all of you listening out there, stay curious, stay informed.
And stay well.
Stay well. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.